We are live.
Here we
Test,
are.
test. 1, 2, 3. We are live. Hey, how's it going? Lee Hayward here, and I'm joined by my good friend and coaching student and assistant head coach over at the Muscle After 40 Blueprint Coaching Program, Jeff Samataro. Welcome, Jeff. Thanks for making it and joining in today. It's always nice to have a co-host for these video chats.
Yeah. As always, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It's pleasure both ways to have you here, right? So
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that this is coming through loud and clear. Just give us a minute here now if some people to pop onto our live stream. Make sure that it is going out. Should be going out on both Facebook, over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook page, as well as on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So hopefully this is coming through. And if you are watching, let us know that this is coming through loud and clear. Type into the comment section, just say loud and clear. I'm assuming it is. It looks like it is on my end, but I always want to make sure that it's coming through loud and clear on your end. That's the important thing. We got Robert joining in from Missouri saying it is loud and clear. Thank you, Robert. Much appreciated. Good stuff. So the way these video chats work, if you're brand new to the video chat, welcome. Always nice to have new people tuning in. Is myself and Jeff, we're going to be hanging out here for 1 hour answering questions and topics of discussion that you may have related to fitness and nutrition. So if there's any specific challenges that you have when it comes to your workouts or your eating plan, anything that you're working on when it comes to muscle building or fat loss goals, please feel free to share those questions or topics of discussion into our chat window, and we'll do the best that we can to help you out. And it would also help to kind of elaborate on some of the questions. I see some questions popping in there, and they're very one-liner, vague. Like, if you have a specific question or a topic of discussion, kind of give us, elaborate on that question so that we can do our best to answer it and make it specific to you. A prime example of what I'm referring to right now, we have Vinesh said loose skin. That's pretty vague. So if you want to elaborate on what you want to talk about, loose skin, feel free to do so. Right? That's that's what I mean here. If you have a specific question, feel free to ask it and elaborate on it so that we can do our best to help you out. And to kick things off, I have a quick question. Well, it may be quick, may not. I don't know. But it was a question that was actually sent in from Thomas over on our most recent Lose Your Gut challenge group that we ran. And if you're not familiar with this, the Lose Your Gut challenge is something that I run usually a couple times a year at least. And the way it is, it's a virtual coaching program that we host over on Facebook. And it's basically 5 days of intensive virtual coaching covering strategies on how you can lose the gut and sustain it without feeling like you're suffering it out on a diet. So this was a question that Thomas had after he went through that challenge. So let me just see if I can dig that one up. I'm going to share the screen here. All right. Where is it? Share screen. I got to get faster at this. Settings, present. There we go. All right. Presents. No, that's not how I do it. I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen, Jeff. If I can't, I'll just read it out. How did I do that before?
I'm not tech savvy, so
I
you're
know.
asking the wrong guy
Oh,
here.
there we go. I found the share screen button. There we go. Right. It's a let's see if that's coming through there. No, it's not coming through. I'll poop on that. Anyway, I'll just read it out. This was from Thomas. He posted the question here. For some reason, it's not showing up. That's weird. I always like to figure out tech issues, and of course, this isn't the ideal time to figure that out, but it is. Here we go. Thomas's question was, he was asking, said, I was listening to a lecture on hydrogen and weight loss this morning, and they said you need to divide your body weight by half, and that should be the ounces of water you should be drinking at the minimum every day. So if your body weight is 235 pounds, you should be drinking approximately a gallon of water every day. What are your thoughts on this? All right. So, I mean, I didn't catch the lecture that he was referring to, but that's a complicated way of figuring out how much water one should drink. And, just to kind of clarify it, I mean, a gallon a day is kind of like a good ballpark that you want to be shooting for, especially if you're an active person. But you don't need to overthink it. You don't need to get into these calculations like, okay, well, what's my body weight and how many ounces of this and how should I divide that? And drink to satisfy your thirst. That's the most important thing. And make sure that you're drinking frequently throughout the day. Don't wait until you're thirsty to drink. Try and stay ahead of your thirst, but by all means, if you are thirsty, definitely drink. And you don't need to overthink it. Like, you really don't. My simple strategy is I always try to keep water with me at all times. So like when I'm at the gym, when I go anywhere in my car, I always keep a bottle of water with me, and I constantly, sipping throughout the day. And then whenever I do feel extra thirsty, I mean, I'll drink more. But my benchmark to know if I'm hydrated or not is when I go to the loo to take a pee, I just kind of judge the color of my pee. If it's light yellow to clear, I know that's good. You're well hydrated usually if you're light yellow to clear. If it's dark yellow, that's not a good sign. It means you need to drink more water. So that's kind of like my cue that I just use to see if I'm well hydrated or not. And of course, you can adjust this based on how much you're sweating, how much your activity you're doing. If you're very active, sweating a lot, it's extra hot out, then hey, by all means, drink more. But if it's not, and you're not as active, then you can drink less. But somewhere in that gallon a day is a good benchmark for most people to shoot for. How much water do you drink, Jeff? Do you measure it or like, how do you go about it?
I don't measure it, but I do have a routine that I kind of go by.
Mm-hmm.
When I
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I drink one of these. It's about
That's
32 ounces of water.
That's a big one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I drink that first thing in the morning, the second I wake up. And then throughout the day, I mean, I just drink depending on how I feel.
That's a
So
good habit to start the day. I actually have a similar habit myself. Like first thing in the morning, getting up, going to the bathroom, doing whatever you got to do. Get that the daily essentials out of the way first. But when I go into the kitchen, the first thing that goes into my mouth is a tall glass of water. Like, I'll have that, and then I'll put on the coffee pot or start making breakfast or whatever I need to do from there. But the first thing that goes into my system is water. So
yeah,
similar to what you have there.
yeah, I mean, because you just went like, if you got a good night's sleep, you just went like 6 to 8 hours without drinking any water whatsoever. So that's the ideal time to drink it first thing in the morning. I found too that like my performance in the gym has helped a lot too once I started making that a habit.
Nice.
So yeah. So just staying on top of it first thing in the morning and kicking off your day with drinking at least, I mean, I think at least 16 ounces, but 16 to 32 ounces of water, I think is a good start to any day.
So do you drink that before you eat, or do you just like start sipping water when you wake up? And
it's the first thing I do when I get up. I go downstairs, I press brew on the coffee pot, and I drink 32 ounces of water while I wait for it to brew.
Wow. Okay. That's a fair chunk of water to drink all at once. Now,
yeah.
for those of you who are listening to this, you may think, my God, I can't drink that much water. You don't have to go like, that's a lot. I don't drink that much. I just start with just a tall glass of water. Like, that's what I do. So just start focusing on being better than you were before. So if you're currently not starting your day with water, it's probably a good habit to get into. Start your day with water, and then try to make sure that you have water available throughout the day, and build it up gradually. Don't try to go from just drinking it sporadically throughout the day to all of a sudden, oh, I'm going to start slamming back a gallon. Like, that may be too much too soon. Just work on gradually increasing it and being better than you were before. That's the most important thing here.
Yeah. What I was trying to do is that it's trying to compound the habit. So every morning I get up and I go downstairs and I press brew on the coffee. So while I'm sitting there waiting for the coffee to brew, instead of going on social media and scrolling, I might as well drink some water and make a habit out of that, because that's something that I want to stay on top of, is my hydration.
Stacking habits. That's a strategy James Clear talked about in his book, Atomic Habits. And that is such a powerful strategy, because we all have our default habits, the things that we are doing on autopilot, like getting up, putting on the coffee. I mean, I guess you don't need a reminder on your phone to say, hey, don't forget to get the coffee in the morning. Like, you're going to do that regardless. Like, that's
priority
default.
number one,
right? So what can you do? Like, during the coffee, while the coffee is brewing, hey, you can focus on drinking the water. So like stacking habits on top of things that you already know you're going to do is a great way to implement new habits into your routine. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. So that was a question there from Thomas, and hopefully that helps to clarify it. I mean, I've seen all kinds of different formulas when it comes to like, how to calculate your water and all this kind of stuff, but you don't need to overthink it. Like really, it's just making sure that you're consistent. That's the most important thing. You're drinking it consistently throughout the day and not letting yourself get overly thirsty. All right, let's see what else we've got. Any questions here? Okay, this was the question from Vinesh. I believe it is. I believe I'm pronouncing it right. The question was loose skin, 90 to 70 kilograms. Will I get if I reduce body weight from 90 to 70 kilograms? All right, so I'm assuming English is not your first language, and you're doing a great job by clarifying that question. So bottom line, he's asking, will I get loose skin if I lose 20 kilograms of body weight, go from 90 to 70? And for those of you who want reference, 20 kilograms of body weight is approximately 44 pounds, which is a significant weight loss. Will you get loose skin? I really don't know. It's an individual thing. Some people may not. But one thing I will tell you is by losing that weight and then keeping it off, your skin will gradually tighten up over time. And for the most part, the only time you see like extreme loose skin is when people lose a lot of weight, like well into the triple digits. Like if someone's losing 100 pounds or 50 kilos or something along those lines, when they're losing extreme amounts of weight, there's probably going to be some loose skin because the skin was so stretched from the sheer mass of being overweight that when you do lose it, there may be some loose skin. But regardless, you'd be much better off being 20 kilograms lighter, even if you did have a little loose skin, versus carrying around that extra 20 kilograms of body fat thinking, oh, I'm going to stay fat because I don't want to have loose skin. Like excess fat doesn't look good, or it's certainly not healthy. I mean, I'd much rather have a bit of loose skin than carrying around the extra body fat.
Yeah.
In your case, Jeff, you lost a significant amount of weight going through your whole fitness journey. You 60 pounds ish. So that's
70.
Okay. So we're looking at a good 30 kilograms or more, of body weight you lost. Did you have any loose skin from that?
Yeah, and I still do. I have a little bit of loose skin around my lower belly area.
Okay.
But it's nothing that's, too significant or anything. And I agree with what you said there. It's like I'd rather be healthy and have a little bit of loose skin than worry about it and not lose the weight because I'm afraid I'm going to have loose skin.
Right.
So it's a fair trade.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a little bit of loose skin around the midsection as well. I actually made a YouTube video talking about this. If you want more information about it, we're actually, it's explaining the whole process and talking about how I have some loose skin, but how it's not really that big a deal. If you literally just go to YouTube and do a search for Lee Hayward loose skin, you should find that video. It should pop up on there on my YouTube channel. But what I'll do is when we put up the show notes afterwards, I'll link to that in the description afterwards. All right, let's see what else we got. We got Sean is joining in. We have Shorov. I know I'm butchering it. How would you say that name, Jeff?
Shorov?
Shorov?
I'm sure of it. Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that's your name.
I'm sure that's what it is.
How do you know what type of diet you need to follow? All right. This is a good question because there's so much information overload out there these days that it can get confusing. I mean, it's something as simple as, hey, what should I eat? And people are like, boggled by it, because if you go on Google and start being like, what's the best diet? Like, I'm assuming you want to lose weight, right? Because usually when people say diet, they want to lose body fat. I mean, it may be a muscle building diet or whatever, but still, if you typed in like, what's the best diet, or what's the best way to lose weight, or what's the best way to lose fat, any of these keywords, you type that into Google, you're going to get literally millions of search results. And some of them are going to be good. Some of them are going to be very controversial and contradictory, and you're going to get everything from like all the different diet plans. What do we have? Like there's obviously keto is a mainstream one that a lot of people talk about. Then you got intermittent fasting, then you have paleo, and then you got the Mediterranean diet, then we have a vegan diet, and we've got a carnivore diet. We've got then there's the cabbage soup diet, there's Weight Watchers and Nutrisystem, and detoxes and everything in between. Like there's a gazillion different ones, and they're all, it can be very confusing, right? Because some of them have very specific rules of what you can and can't do. In myself and Jeff's case, we focus on just a natural, unprocessed diet, focusing on real foods, single ingredient foods. So foods that don't need a nutrition label. That's what should make up the most of your eating. Things like go to the produce section of the grocery store, right? Foods that don't need nutrition labels. That should be a lot of your food. When you go to like the butcher and the meat and the fish section of the grocery store, a lot of those don't need nutrition labels, right? They're one ingredient foods. That should make up the bulk of your eating. And focus on a well balance. So a balance of protein, a balance of carbohydrates, and a balance of healthy fat. And then as far as a macro split, I usually recommend 1/3 of each, 1/3 protein, 1/3 carbs, 1/3 fat. And that's a good baseline to start with. Now, of course, we can manipulate that based on your individual goals, what it is you're trying to achieve, your activity level, how your body responds, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of like a generic template to get you started. So I know, like, obviously, Jeff, you went through this type of approach, and just kind of like give us a quick overview of your current eating plan and how it's been working for you.
Yeah, I agree. Like 1/3 protein, 1/3 carb, 1/3 fat. Yeah, I mean, I every meal I strive to have a lean protein, a starchy carb, and a fibrous carb. And if I can have that, then I feel like it's a full balanced meal there. So I aim for that for 2 out of 3 meals. For breakfast, I try to have something light because I don't like going into the gym feeling bogged down and heavy.
Okay.
But I feel like it's a trial and error thing. Like your diet is going to be something that you're going to try some things, you're going to like how you feel, and you try some things you don't like how you feel. I mean, you can, depending on your goals, like what your goal is for the day. I mean, if you're talking about like athletic performance and stuff,
Right.
So like if I'm going into the gym, I want to make sure I have some carbs before I go into the gym to give me some energy.
Gotcha.
Some protein thing like that, like fast acting stuff like bananas,
Easy to digest. I guess that's
easy, fast digesting carbs, things like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't count calories and I don't count macros or anything. I just strive to make good choices, and I try to make good choices 90% of the time. And like you said, whole single ingredient foods, like an apple, for instance, right? Like what ingredients are in an apple? An apple. It's an apple. Yeah, right. So it's, if you could look at something and you could say that is that, and that is what that is.
Right.
Yeah. Green leafy vegetables too. I try to have a lot of green leafy vegetables every day as well. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying that you have to avoid processed food, because there are some processed foods that certainly do help, like oatmeal is one that would be considered a processed food. I mean, it's still quite natural, but I mean, like it's a processed food. It's like protein powder is another one. I mean, obviously that's a processed food, but something I still incorporate into my eating plan. But try and keep it simple, and don't blame your food choices or your progress on macronutrients, saying, oh, I got to eliminate the carbohydrates, or I got to eliminate the fat, or I got to eliminate this or that or the other thing, because we've literally gone full circle with that. And I have a blog post that I'll share with you. It's literally called like what's the best fat loss diet. And if you go to my YouTube, or not my YouTube channel, my blog, leehayward.com, and type in what's the best fat loss diet, it literally takes you through the whole spectrum, like where the whole diet industry has taken us in the last 30 plus years. Because I mean, but when I got started in the fitness industry, it was all low fat, right? If you don't eat fat, you can't get fat. So everyone was preaching low fat everything. And then after a while, people saying, well, it's not the fat, that's making us fat. It must be the carbs. And then that's when the whole Atkins diet and a lot of the low carb trends started to come on board, and different variations of ketogenic diets. So, that kind of took off and went mainstream for a while. And then we started to see in the early 2000s a big emergence of the plant-based and vegan diets, where people were now saying, well, it's not the fat, it's not the carbs, it's that pesky old animal protein. Don't eat that and you'll be okay. And then we've seen the whole slew of drawbacks with that as well. And it keeps coming back to, it's not the macronutrients. It's not blaming the fats. It's not blaming the carbs or blaming the protein. It's we want to have all those things in balance and proportion from natural unprocessed foods. And that's some of the stuff that we cover in the whole Lose Your Gut Challenge program. So if you want, let me make sure to stay plugged into us over on Facebook, because I mean, that's where I share more about this Lose Your Gut Challenge program, or even feel free to reach out to me, you know, send me an email and, you know, I can send more information about it for when we do our next Lose Your Gut Challenge, because that's what we really go into detail with in that Lose Your Gut Challenge group is, you know, nutrition 101 in depth. It's 5 days of virtual coaching. I mean, obviously we do cover, you know, all the areas of fitness and nutrition, but it's primarily nutrition because that's where most people struggle. So if you need some help with that, certainly, you know, reach out and let us know. We can point you in the right direction with that. Let's move on. Let's see what other questions we have there. Some of them are repeat questions. You're like, guys, you only need to post your question once. I'm getting the same question here multiple times. I don't know if
they wanted you to see it.
Oh yeah, I mean, literally, like, I'm not going to ignore that question. Oh my god, man, I got like 2 pages of the same question here. Got Sean is joining in. Hello, you good? Yep, I'm good. You good, Jeff?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for asking.
All right. And we got some more of the same question. Well, okay, let's what's this one? PS Sports Gamer. How would you help add mass if I'm very strong, 3 plates bench, 4 plate squat, 165 overhead press, but my arms are still lagging? All right, first off, those are respectable numbers by any standards. I mean, like that would put you into the quote unquote advanced category by strength and development standards. I remember reading back in the day, like a lot of people wonder, like, how do you know if you're advanced when it comes to strength training? And again, this was a magazine article in one of the muscle magazines back in the day. But they said, like, hey, if you're benching 300, squatting 400, and deadlifting 500 or thereabouts, you're advanced, right? You're in the advanced category. So, I mean, this guy here is certainly in the advanced category with those numbers. Arms are still lagging. A lot of that is genetics, because obviously in order to build up that strength, I mean, you've been doing a lot of exercises, training, working your arms and everything else to get to that level of strength. A lot of it is genetic. And I can relate to this because I'm in that similar situation myself where my arms naturally lag behind the rest of my body. Arms and shoulders are genetic weaknesses, whereas legs and torso, chest, back, calves, all those areas are very strong for me and they respond well. Arms, I've had to fight to get progress with my arms, and I had to do some specialization work for them. In your case, Jeff, like, what do you feel is your stronger body parts? What kind of came for you?
I have strong shoulders, and I have good arms, and I have a good back, and I feel like my chest has improved quite a bit this past year too. That was a lagging spot for me for a while there, especially the upper chest. But I've made a lot of improvement on that as well. I have good quads. My lagging spots are my glutes and my hamstrings, and I don't know, my calves are all right, but they're not like, I'm tall, so like I'm 6 feet tall, and I have long legs. So genetically, I just have a hard time growing my calves as much as as much effort as I put into them. And I do try to hit them 2-3 times a week, but it's just a lagging spot. And I'm never going to have the kind of calves that like you have. It's never going to happen. It's just the cards that I was dealt with, but it doesn't mean I don't train those areas. I still do. And I still try to make progress with those, because if you bring up your lagging areas, then you're going to see improvement in everything that you do.
But there was a key thing you mentioned there. I liked how you mentioned how you train those stubborn body parts more frequently, like you train your calves more frequently. And that's something that Mr. PS Sports Gamer could do for his arms. He could specialize in them. And one thing that I did to help bring my arms up was I actually created a program for it. I wrote the book on it. It's called Blast Your Biceps. and it's available. You can go check it out, blastyourbiceps.com. It's a program that I put together, but basically what it involves is specializing your arms and training them twice a week, and then taking your stronger body parts, putting them onto a maintenance program and training them once a week. So you're dedicating more of your body's energy reserves and more of your recovery abilities to those stubborn areas, and then just maintaining your stronger areas. So that's exactly what I did for my arm workouts. And I trained them twice a week with 2 different workouts. One was a heavier, lower volume workout, like heavier weights, lower reps. The other one was more of a higher volume, so lighter weights, higher reps. And I did that just to hit different muscle fibers, because with the heavier, lower rep training, you're getting more of the fast twitch muscle fibers. With the lighter weight, higher rep, you're getting into more muscular endurance, more of the slower twitch muscle fibers. So that's what I focused on. So I was getting 2 complementary workouts that way. And then I was also making sure that I was hitting all the major angles within my arms. So I was utilizing positions of flexion. And basically that means you train your major muscle groups through mid-range, fully stretched, and peak contraction. So I literally outlined the full system in Blast Your Biceps. So if you're interested and this is something you want to prioritize, feel free to head on over to blastyourbiceps.com. Check it out. And you can even download a copy of that PDF ebook. All right. But that's common. And this applies to everybody. Like, after so many years of training, you're going to find certain body parts respond better than others. And it doesn't mean you're necessarily doing anything. Not always. I mean, there could be times when you're doing things wrong, but even if you put your conscious efforts into following a well-balanced program, and you followed a structured plan right from the start, like in your case, Jeff, I mean, you followed a structured program right from the start, because you didn't try to wing it on your own. You came on board, you got a coach and a trainer right from the start, followed a structured plan. And even then, you're going to see certain body parts respond better and certain body parts that kind of lag behind. And that's just your own God-given genetics. That's just, like, say, the hand you were dealt. In certain areas, you're going to have more muscle fibers. Certain areas, you're going to have better leverages. Again, like a taller person versus a shorter person, it's going to be different leverages. That's going to be advantageous for certain movements. Like, as a taller person, certain things you're going to be stronger with. As a shorter person, there's going to be other things you'll be stronger with. Like, shorter people tend to be better with pressing exercises due to their shorter limbs. Taller people sometimes are better with pulling exercises. Like, the longer limbs can actually be advantageous in that situation. Like, sometimes you see a longer, leaner physique, maybe a good deadlifter, or in your case, I know you're really good at pull-ups and throwing exercises. Whereas someone with shorter limbs, they're very strong with pressing exercises, and squatting, and same idea, because of those shorter limbs can be advantageous for those particular movements. But bottom line, you just focus on what you have and then try and improve upon those weaknesses. Bring them up.
And trial and error too. Try different things out, see what works for you. Make sure you're doing direct arm work as well.
Yes, that definitely. I mean, that's the whole Blast Your Biceps program is a direct arm specialization program, because sometimes people get caught up into the just doing the big compound lifts and they're not doing isolation work. But if you want to specialize in a body part, that's where isolation work can really shine. All right, let's move on here. Let's see what else we've got. We have Neil, who's a regular to our chat, and he's over in the other corner of the world. He says, good morning. So it's a good evening for us and a good morning for you, Neil. It says, I know this question is getting old, but do you think multivitamins are effective for health benefits? I mean, they say that after you drink a vitamin, after you, or take a vitamin, I guess he means, you pee all of it. Not necessarily. All right. I personally use vitamins. What I personally take, I take a multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement. I take extra B vitamins, so I take a B complex, magnesium, zinc, essential fatty acids, especially omega-3s in the form of a high-potency fish oil. What else is in the cupboard up there? Those are the big ones. I'm trying to think now. Those are the major vitamin mineral supplements that I personally take. If sometimes I'll take extra vitamin C, but those are the main ones. Again, vitamin D3. That's another one. Vitamin D3, zinc, magnesium, the multivitamin and mineral. B vitamin complex. Yeah, so those are the big ones for sure. And the reason why I take them is because, first off, those are some very common deficiencies that a lot of people have. Like if you look across the board, a lot of people are not getting enough vitamin D3. A lot of people are not getting enough B vitamins, magnesium, and zinc. And that's why I want to make sure that I'm covering all those. And also take the multivitamin and mineral just kind of like as a general insurance policy. And the way it works is your body will basically utilize what it needs. And if there are excess, especially water soluble vitamins, you can pee out the excess if there is excess. But that's the thing. Like a lot of times there may or may not be. It all depends. And one thing I want to address here is the recommended daily allowance for vitamins and minerals. it's not totally accurate. What if you learn the history of vitamins and minerals, where that whole recommended daily allowance came from, it was what was the minimum requirement to keep World War II soldiers or World War I soldiers. I'm not totally sure if it was World War I or World War II, but basically what it was to keep soldiers alive, keep them from dying and suffering malnutrition when out on the battlefield. So this is where the RDA came out. They said, okay, like we need these as our minimum benchmarks to make sure that these guys are not suffering from malnutrition and health issues. And it's not necessarily optimal nutrition, it's malnutrition. So we can consume a lot higher than the RDA in a lot of the vitamins and minerals. In fact, I have a book that I put together. It's a book I made for my coaching students called Vitamin and Mineral Intake for Athletes. And it covers all the major vitamins and minerals and the optimal dosages that you should be consuming these in. And it also, it's not necessarily a supplement guide, but it's a guide that says, like, here's the vitamins and minerals that your body needs, and here are the best food sources for these various vitamins and minerals. So still try to get the most of them through natural unprocessed foods, through your diet. But the vitamin supplements are kind of like an extra insurance policy to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And it's not it's not a waste, if you will. Right. What about yourself, Jeff? Like how do you go about it? Like I know you take some vitamins and supplements and whatnot, but like what are some of your go-tos?
I take a multivitamin in the morning. I take creatine capsules in the morning too, because I don't like the powder.
Okay.
So I take creatine.
It's not necessarily a vitamin and mineral, but yeah, I totally get it. I take creatine.
Yeah, supplement.
Yeah.
I take vitamin D3. I take magnesium.
A lot of similar ones.
Yeah.
B complex?
Fish oil too. I do fish oil too.
Do you take a B complex supplement?
I don't take a B complex one. My multivitamin has a lot of B vitamins in it.
But it would be worthwhile to look into some extra, like where I get a lot of my vitamins too. I actually get a lot of them from Costco, because Costco's got they're high quality vitamins. Like when you actually look at third party research where they compare them to a lot of the name brand vitamin supplements, they're actually very high quality. And as far as a bang for your buck, a lot of times they work out cheaper.
Yeah, so they just opened up a Costco like 20 minutes from my house, and I know you've been preaching the good word about Costco now for quite some time, so I'm gonna have to go get a membership.
I'm not sponsored by Costco. I just genuinely like Costco. I wish they would sponsor me. Shit, I mean that'd be awesome if they did, right? But we have a Costco close by, and ironically, like it's like we live in a small place. Like Newfoundland is not big by any stretch of the imagination, but it has like the biggest Costco. I'm not sure if it's the biggest one in Canada or the biggest one in North America. It's crazy because like everybody around here shops at Costco. It's huge. But that's where I get a lot of my vitamins too. And if they don't have it there, then I will order it online or go to a specialty supplement store to get what I need. But for a lot of the basic stuff, and your multivitamins, the B complex and all that, the D3, fish oils, I get it from Costco. But that'd be something worthwhile to look into. And the good thing about the B vitamins is they are water soluble. So if you did consume them in excess, you could use what your body needs and pee out the rest. And that's actually a good thing, because that prevents them from building up to toxic levels in your system. Whereas fat soluble vitamins, you got to be more careful, because if you did consume excessive amounts of fat soluble vitamins, they're going to get stored in your fat, and they could literally build up to toxic levels if left unchecked or consumed in excess for prolonged periods of time. So B vitamins are water soluble in that sense. But a lot of health benefits with the B vitamins. You know, I mean, like you can go Google search them and whatever, or read that vitamin mineral guide that I put together. But there's a lot, and a lot for optimizing your metabolism. You know, ensuring that the food you eat gets utilized the way it's supposed to. Very, very powerful vitamins for sure. I mean, this is something we could literally do a whole video chat on vitamin supplements, but let's move on because we think we covered Neil's question. Dario's joined in. Dario's also another regular to our chat. Any advice for not overeating healthy, nutritious food? Most of my diet is well balanced, but sometimes I find myself overeating chicken and whole wheat pasta, etc. I can relate to this because I like to eat and I've got a healthy appetite, sometimes too healthy. How do you go about this, Jeff? Like not overeating the good stuff, right?
Yeah, it's hard. I got a big appetite too. I go by how I feel, so I try to eat slowly.
That's powerful.
I try to drink water in between bites. Try to put the fork down. Try to eliminate distractions. Take my time.
Yes.
And just pay attention. Like the way I gauge it, I try to keep it really simple. Like if I get done a meal and I can go for a brisk walk afterwards, then I'm good. If I feel like I got to go lie down on the couch, take some Tums and fall asleep for a little while, then
You overdid it.
I overdid it. Yeah. But I'm guilty. I love to eat, and I feel like I'm like a lot of bodybuilders and people who lift weights do like to eat. So you just got to pay attention to your body and just be mindful. Be mindful of how you feel, and don't just be a vacuum and just shovel.
Yes. Yeah.
Take your time.
Those are some solid tips for sure. And first off, we should address, like, from a practical point of view, it's hard to overeat to the point where you get obese from healthy food. Like if you're really eating natural unprocessed foods, your protein and your vegetables and your good, high volume complex carbohydrates and stuff, it's hard to overeat to such an extreme calorie surplus that one gets obese. Right? I've never seen it personally, because virtually everybody that I know who's like extremely overweight, there's a lot of processed food in their diet. The majority of their diet is processed foods, right? But with that being said, you can still eat too much, right? I mean, I've been guilty of this sometimes because, again, you just like to eat. But the big ones you mentioned there, slowing down, like literally try and pace yourself, because we live in this fast food, I'm in a hurry environment where, like, I wake up, I'm late for work or I'm late for school or whatever, and I got to wolf down my breakfast, get it in me as fast as possible. Then on your lunch break, we're pressed for time, wolf down your lunch as fast as you can. And we're always in this eat fast, like not slowing down, savoring, and enjoying the food. It's always like just fast food, and never fully embracing the meal and the experience. So like slowing down and actually chewing the food, like making sure that you chew it more often. And I'm not going to give you a number. Like some people say, oh, make sure to chew your food 30 times per bite or something, like, but chew it more than you are now. Like purposely add a few extra chews there so that you can savor and enjoy the food. And this also helps with the digestion process, because the more you chew it, the more you're breaking it down, the more the natural digestive enzymes from your saliva is getting in there. It'll just help with your gut health and the digestion utilization of those nutrients when you chew your food more. But it also gives you more time under taste, because if you took a smaller meal and you ate it over the course of 20 minutes, you're getting a lot of time under taste, and basically like the same eating pleasure as if you took a bigger meal but you just woofed it down. Right. So like we always talk about time under tension with our workouts. I say time under taste when it comes to our nutrition, right? That's a good thing to think of. But it takes 20 minutes for your brain and belly to link up that you're full. So if you eat fast, like you can put away a lot of food in 20 minutes. Right. If you're just, like the conveyor belt, fork to the plate to the mouth and just nonstop. Right. So you mentioned putting the fork down is a powerful strategy as well, but purposely slowing down, that's a big one. And I think
drinking water too, like that way your stomach gets to expand and feel full. That helps a lot as well.
Also, eating foods that are harder to eat. And what I mean by that, like foods that require, like for example, if you have a steak and you have to cut it up and you have to chew it more, like you just can't wolf down a steak. Or I suppose some people can, but you shouldn't, right? You got to cut it up and you got to chew it and that. So foods that take more time to cut up and chew, and that helps a lot. I also like to start with, like, if especially with a bigger meal, because I think this is where you're going to tend to overeat is usually at those bigger meals. And I always start with a big garden salad. Like that's my appetizer. So I'm pre-filling the belly with high volume of vegetables and those high volume foods. So that's going to take the edge off my hunger, and plus it's going to take longer to eat, and then it helps to link up that that 20-minute time frame from the time that takes your brain and belly to sync up that you're full. So that takes up a good portion of that time. And then when I start eating the more denser foods, the protein and the starchy carbs and things like that, it just, by the time I've eaten my share, I'm comfortably full.
Yeah.
And being consciously aware of it, that's the most important thing. So another thing we can look into is the food choices. I mean, he mentioned whole wheat pasta. I mean, not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that is a more calorie dense food, and it's easier to eat pasta than it is like potatoes or sweet potato or something along those lines. Like that's another strategy. If you're trying to minimize your food consumption and get maximum eating satisfaction, look for higher volume options. So if you had 50 grams of carbohydrates from pasta or 50 grams from sweet potato, you would get a lot more full and feel more satiated from the sweet potato because it's higher in volume, right? More water volume, more fiber volume, and it takes longer to eat it.
Yeah. I'm glad you touched on that, because pasta, I could put away so much pasta.
Oh man.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Growing up in an Italian home, I'm just like, I grew up on pasta. So but if you have like a potato, you have like one potato.
Right.
With
And if it
dinner.
feels filling, that potato, but a plate of pasta, you just wolf it down. And like there's a lot of carbohydrates in a plate of pasta. And then of course it's not just the pasta, but you got to have it drowned in pasta sauce or whatever you have with it. It's a lot more to it. So it compounds, even though a lot of people say, well, it's healthy. I mean, it's the more calorie dense version, right? So if you are trying to keep your calories in check, you might want to look for higher volume, lower calorie dense food options more often. Let's see what else we got there. Eric, let's see. Hey guys, I followed Lee's 1 week challenge, a.k.a. the Lose Your Gut challenge last year, and had a satisfying habits in lifting. Lately, I have lost motivation, loss of full body workout training, and my common law doesn't. Another one, support my goal to just be fit. How do I remotivate myself? All right, so he was making good progress last year, fell off the bandwagon. How do you get back on track? I can certainly relate to that. Do you want to touch on it, Jeff? Do you have any strategies on that one?
Well, for the loss of motivation, I would say don't focus on being motivated, because there's very rarely a day where I wake up and I feel super motivated to go work out. Instead, what I do is I focus on the discipline of going no matter how I feel. And if I get there and I start warming up, and like 9 times out of 10, I end up having a great session and I end up enjoying it and I love it, and it's one of the best parts of my day. So, but if I listen to that initial reaction when I wake up of, hey, just skip it today. You've been working hard. You don't need to go do that today. Take a break, recover, whatever.
Or you just don't feel motivated.
Or I just don't feel motivated. Yeah. Or if I listen to that, and I mean, I'm missing out on that. I'm missing out on one of the best parts of my day. And it always, I never regret it. I never regret a workout ever.
After it's done. Yeah.
after it's done. Yeah. I mean, the hardest part is honestly just warming up, like putting
Getting
the
started.
shoes on, right? Getting a little bit of a pump, a little bit of a sweat going, and just kind of building up that energy. But once you're all warmed up and everything, like the motivation takes care of itself. Another thing I think is important too is keeping a log of your lifts. So I log all of my lifts and like how much weight I lifted and how many reps I did. And my motivation is going into the gym and trying to beat those numbers. And that motivates me quite a bit. Because I have goals. I have things that I want to achieve, and I know it's like small action steps every day that are going to lead you to the end goal, or to the bigger picture. So I try to create those small steps, right? And the small step would be like making progress on a lift. And you're not going to make progress on the lift if you skip the workout.
Yeah, right. If you don't,
if you don't lift. So that to me is very motivating. And I mean, and of course also just the health benefits of it as well. Like, I mean, I've lived on both ends of the spectrum. I've been fat and overweight and not healthy and not working out and not lifting. And I've also been 100% dedicated to it for years on end. And I can tell you from experience on living on both ends of the spectrum that being fit and healthy is a way more satisfying and rewarding life than the opposite. And that's my motivation. I never want to go back to how I was before. I'm so much happier and I live such a more rewarding and fulfilling life now that I have no desire to ever go back to the way I was. It's not hard for me anymore. I enjoy it and I love who I've become and I want to continue that.
The big thing that I'm hearing from that, this is your identity. Like you see yourself now as this healthy, fit person, working out, eating healthy. It's not just I'll do it if I feel motivated. It's like this is your identity. It's who you are, right? And to kind of give you an analogy of how this works, I've used this one in our Lose Your Gut Challenge. So if you went through our Lose Your Gut Challenge, you probably heard me say this one before, Eric. But imagine if I had a cigarette and I was offering it to two people, and I offer a cigarette to one person and they say, "No, thanks, I'm a non-smoker." And then I offer a cigarette to somebody else and they say, "Well, I'm trying to quit." Now, in the moment, both are saying no to the cigarette, but like who's going to be saying no over the long term, right? The person who identifies as a non-smoker or the person who identifies as a smoker who's trying to quit? Like that's a big shift. Instead of trying to quit, you want to like just shift that identity and say like, that's it, I'm a non-smoker. And it's such a powerful shift because that's an identity. That's who you see yourself as. And this can relate to fitness because we see the similar things. Like a lot of people say, well, I'm trying to work out, or I'm trying to lose weight, or I'm trying to get back at it, or whatever. Like you're just like that smoker who's trying to quit. You don't see yourself as that healthy, fit person. You see yourself as an unhealthy or inconsistent person who's trying. And like Yoda said, it's do or do not. There is no try, right? So I mean, we really had to make that identity shift, and that's the big one. And another analogy that I like to use is think of your job, like whatever it is that you do. Do you wait till you're motivated to go to work in the morning? Like if you wake up Monday morning, you say, "I'm not motivated. I'm not going to go in today. I'll go in when I'm motivated." You're probably not going to be working very long because you get fired from that job and they'll find someone else who will do the job. So working out is kind of like going to your job. It's something you do because it's who you are. It's what you do, right? Regardless if you feel motivated or not, it's just that's your identity, right? Like you identify yourself as a working man who's, whatever it is that you do for a living, that's who you are. That's what you do, right? Regardless if you're motivated or not. So fitness has to be in that category as well. And this is very powerful. Is the identity of who you see yourself as, and not just waiting for that spike of motivation to take action. But like I say, this is a big topic. I mean, this is something we could go on and on with, but I think the big one is the identity and also your environment. Your environment is more powerful than your willpower.
Yeah.
So getting around people who are at a higher level, and this could be going to the gym, making friends with people at the gym and letting that their positivity influence you, like wanting to be like those people, because we are the average of the 5 people we hang around with. So if you're hanging around people who are not into exercise, not working out, not taking care of their health and fitness, chances are you're going to be pushed in that direction as well. Vice versa, if you hang around people who are active and healthy and pursuing their fitness goals, then that's going to motivate you, right? Like we hang around people like ourselves, like rich people hang around rich people, poor people hang around poor people, computer nerds hang around computer nerds, musicians hang around musicians, like people hang around like-minded people. Like in your case, Jeff, right? I mean, you actually have a gig to go to tonight very shortly, after we finish this video chat.
I do.
You hang around other musicians, right? I mean, that motivates you to play music and keep going.
Yeah.
Now, if nobody in your life or nobody in your social circle played an instrument and it was just you relying on self-motivation, I mean, like that probably wouldn't last that long. Like,
no,
if there was no external motivation for you to play music, right? Like, but everybody you're around, like you work at a music school. So, I mean, boom, there's the music identity right there. You go play in the band on the weekends. There's the music identity. Like you're being like the people you're around.
Yeah.
So your environment is huge. So you got to get around people who are operating at a higher level. And you said that, what was it? He's had there his question. His common law doesn't support his goal. Well, that's fine, right? But you got to get around some people who are supporting your goal. I mean, it would be nice if she was working out as well, but it doesn't have to be. Like, I think in your case, Jeff, like your wife doesn't work out with you. Is that?
No, she doesn't work out with me. No. But
so she
yeah,
doesn't play music with you either, does she?
No, she doesn't. No.
You don't need to have your significant other, necessarily doing what it is you're doing, but you got to have some people in your life who are doing it and then fuel off that. So, don't use that as the excuse that, I can't work out because my wife isn't working out, or, you can get around other people. And then the cool thing about that is this day and age, you can also get around people virtually, right? It's not just who you spend time with in real time, in real life, which, don't get me wrong, that is very powerful, but it's also the people you spend time with virtually. Like right now, we're virtually spending time together. So myself and Jeff are our feedback and insights and habits, and I mean, this is indirectly rubbing off on you, right? The more you take it in, the more it's going to have an impact. But also try to get around people in the real world as well, and to have those people pull you up to a higher level versus getting around people who are going to pull you down to a lower level. All right, let's move on. So no, we have to have a hard stop at the top of the hour here, so we're going to clue it up in about 8 minutes. Let's see what else we got there. We have Rick's joining in. Welcome, Rick. Rick went through our Lose Your Gut challenge, and he actually had some really good progress. He was sharing it on our Lose Your Gut challenge group. I think he's after losing 9 pounds since the Lose Your Gut challenge, which is phenomenal. Oh, wow. He's on the right track.
Good for you.
David joining in. What are your thoughts on a full body HIIT style workout every 4 days for a super busy dad's
surgery scrub nurse?
Surgery scrub nurse who wants to build muscle every 4 days. Well, it's better than no days. I would personally want to do more frequent workouts than that. All right. Now, with that being said, whatever you can make fit into your schedule, something's better than nothing, right? So if you got to do it every 4 days, then hey, start with that. But I think if you really start looking at the bigger picture and looking at your day, you can find opportunities for exercise throughout the day, right? This was a game changer for me, and this is how I ended up getting, the whole muscle after 40 transformation really came about when I realized there was a lot of opportunity throughout the day that I wasn't maximizing, because I had this mental block. Well, if I don't got 2 hours to go to the gym, I don't have time to work out. Or if I don't have an hour to do cardio, I don't have time to do cardio. But there's probably a lot of times throughout the day where, okay, I don't have 2 hours, but I might have 20 minutes, right? I can do something. And doing those little somethings made a big difference. And I'll give you a prime example. Yesterday, I had to take my son to a doctor's appointment. And while he was in that appointment, the appointment was going to last for an hour. I went out and just went for a walk. Like I literally just around the community outside the doctor's office there. There was a couple of walking trails around. I went outside and had my phone with me. So if they needed to get a hold of me, they could get a hold of me. And I wasn't that far away. But I went out just walking laps out in this little walking trail, and I did that for over half an hour while my son was into his doctor's appointment. So most people would be sitting around the waiting room, scrolling on their phone, or out by the door smoking cigarettes or whatever they were doing. Like I seen all the other people there sitting around waiting. I got off my ass and went for a walk. I mean, that was a little opportunity to get some exercise in, and it didn't take any more time out of my schedule, right? I just utilized it. So a lot of times, like, you got these little breaks on your lunch break where, you can sit in the break room and scroll through your phone or shoot the shit with your coworkers, or hey, you can get outside and go for a little walk around the block. Take advantage of little blocks of exercise, little blocks of time, and be amazed at what you can accomplish in those little blocks. But like, how do you go about this, Jeff? I know, like, in your case, you work out from home. So like, how do you maximize that?
Well, yeah, working out at home is great because I can just go downstairs and just get a quick workout in if I need to.
No commute, right?
Yeah, no commute at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, I prioritize exercise, and I think that making fitness a part of your life and prioritizing it is important. Like, whenever you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to another. So if you want to say yes to exercise, then you have to find some spots in your life that you can say no to, whether that's checking social media, like how much time do you spend on social media a day, how much TV do you watch at night. I mean, what are some things that you could cut out and create 20-minute blocks where you could do a quick little workout, where you could drop down and do some push-ups real quick, where you could go for a walk, 10, 15, 20-minute walk. But I prioritize it because I see the value in it. And I mean, even on the days where, like, I'm supposed to take a rest day or something, like, I mean, I always go for a walk or something because movement feels good.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It feels good. And I always pay attention to how I feel after I'm done doing like a bike ride or a walk or something like that. And I always feel great. It's like, I mean, I look forward to it. So I prioritize it because I see the value in it. So, so can you make progress on a 4 days working out every 4 days? You could. Yeah. I mean, it would be hard to track your progress and to make progress, I think, with that much time off between exercises. But what I would do is instead drop the intensity. You don't feel like you have to completely kill yourself every 4 days, and instead drop the intensity and try to be more consistent on a daily basis.
Consistency over intensity. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And try to make progress daily. And it doesn't matter how small it is, but like that, once you start exercising every day and you start moving every day, like, you're going to see the benefit of it. Like, it doesn't take too long for you to realize, like, I mean, the cognitive benefits to it, the physical benefits to it, emotionally, like, it's moving every day.
You'll actually find excuses to exercise more once you start to build that identity and that habit into your routine. But to get it started, it is hard. I totally understand where he's coming from. And the way I would look at this, I mean, if you want to have one like high intensity workout, like, say, okay, once every 4 days, you're going to go to the gym and you're going to do a full body workout, whatever, that's your 2 hour a day workout at the gym. Like, hey, by all means, you can do that, assuming you're in shape to do that. I mean, if you haven't worked out for the past 4 months, like, don't jump into the gym and start doing 2 hour workouts. Like, that's too much too soon. Start off small and build up gradually. But if you had one day, every 4 days or whatever, once a week, where you really pushed it in the gym, that's fine. But you look for all these little other opportunities, like we were just talking about, where you can fit in little blocks of time, whether it's a little home workout, getting out for some walks and some extra cardio. Like, there's more opportunities throughout your week to get exercise. And it doesn't always have to be this official, I'm going to the gym and doing a structured workout. It could be as simple as going for a walk. It could be, hey, I got 10 minutes. I'm going to do push-ups and body weight squats. I'll do a set of push-ups. I'll do a set of body weight squats, rest 30 seconds and repeat, and do that nonstop for 10 minutes. Like, as simple as that is brutally hard. I'm willing to bet most people listening to this would not even be able to complete 10 minutes of a circuit like that. Yeah. Push-ups, squats, nonstop for 10 minutes. Like, that's intense, but 10 minutes. I mean, it took us 10 minutes to answer his question. Like, if everybody's got 10 minutes, right?
Yeah.
if while he was listening to us, he was doing push-ups and squats, he would have got in the workout. While we were yapping in the background. Like it's amazing. Once you open up your mind to like all these little blocks of time and realizing, it doesn't have to be packing up the gym bag and driving to the gym and like this big ordeal. Like workouts can be simple and can be spontaneous, right? It can be like spur of the moment. It doesn't have to be this big structured thing, right? Like, think of other habits that we do, like popping open social media. Like, do we have to, I got to make sure that I have the perfect time to sit down and open up Facebook or Instagram and start scrolling? No, you just, heck, you're in the lineup at the grocery store. You start doing it. You're right. You're sitting around and on break and you start doing it. Like you just do it spontaneously. Like you could throw in little blocks of exercise just as quick and spontaneous as that. It doesn't have to be this big grand planned out thing. All right. I know you're getting close to having to go in there, Jeff. Aren't you?
You do one more if you want.
All right. Let's see what else we got there. We got another good question. All right. This is I think, where was you? Answers for. Okay. There's some good questions there, but there's one. I'm going to throw this one in. It's from Gabriel. What's your favorite pre-workout meal and how many hours before the workout do you eat it? All right. We kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but Jeff, in your case, you normally work out in the morning. Is that correct? No. So like, how do you go about, what's pre-workout meal for you?
The first thing I have in the morning is I'll have a blender smoothie, which has like, I put a banana in it, a small banana, half a cup of oats, half a cup of liquid egg whites, protein powders, frozen strawberries, and a little bit of almond milk. And I'll blend that all up and I'll have that about 2 hours before I start working out.
Gotcha.
That's my routine.
So you're getting some protein, some carbohydrates. The fat is relatively low. And it's fairly easy to digest food, especially where it's all blended up.
Yeah. I used to have just a banana and a coffee, though, like black coffee and a banana. And then I would go hit the gym. But I don't know. I like having the smoothie. It keeps me fuller longer. And then I have that at like around 6:30, 7 in the morning, something like that. And then I typically don't eat anything until like almost 2 p.m.
Really?
Yeah. 1, 2 p.m. somewhere around there.
Like even after your workout, do you eat anything afterwards? Or
no, I get done working out. I'll do some stretching, some mobility, then I'll go get ready for the day, and then I'll start prepping for lunch and dinner. And I prep my dinner at lunch because I get home late from work. I get home like around 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night. So I always make twice of whatever I have for lunch.
Right.
Yeah, and then I leave it. I store it in the fridge, and then I have it for dinner when I get home. That way, I can just pop it in the microwave.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll just share what I do, and it really depends on what I'm planning on doing. But for my pre-workout meal, the most important thing is that it's something that's easy to digest, not going to make me feel heavy and sluggish. Yeah. Right. And the actual foods themselves may vary. It also depends on how soon after that meal that I want to start working out, right? Because I'll give you an example. Like sometimes, especially in the summer, we do early morning bike rides. Like I'm part of a cycling group and we do some early morning rides. Like a lot of times we're wheels rolling at 6 a.m. Like that doesn't mean we're getting ready. That means we're already ready. We've already met. Everything's going. We pull out as a group at 6 a.m. sharp, right? Wheels are rolling at 6. So that means I have to get up like before 5 to get everything ready and actually arrive. So, and those really early mornings, I'm going to have something simple. Like it could be protein coffee is one that I often make. What the protein coffee is, for those of you who don't know, it's just make up a cup of coffee and I blend in a scoop of protein powder with it using a milk frother. So it actually is a very tasty, high protein coffee. And the protein powder gives it almost like a cappuccino latte taste to it because it froths up really good when you use a milk frother. For those of you who don't know what a milk frother is, you can just Amazon search it or whatever, but it's basically just a little handheld mixer, right? That's what it is. I use that and it blends up the protein coffee really good. And then I might have like a banana, or I might have something, like an energy bar, like a Cliff Bar or something like that, but something that's easy to digest and something small. Like I don't want anything too heavy. That's what I do on those really early morning, got to get out the door fast type of situations. If I got more time, I'll probably have like a bowl of oatmeal and, high protein oatmeal, and then let that sit in my stomach for an hour or so before I actually start riding or working out, depending on what it is that I'm doing. But it's always something that's not going to upset my stomach, right? Like I don't want to be eating anything heavy. Like I wouldn't go and have bacon and eggs and pancakes and all this something heavy that's going to take forever to digest, right? Like I don't want anything like that. Low fat and also relatively low fiber as well, because I don't want that bulk in my stomach either. I want very easy, simple to digest foods. And for me, like in fruit, bananas are go-to for me. I like them, and they're so convenient. Protein powder, super convenient. And also do like energy bars, like Cliff Bars and stuff like that. I find those work well with me. Sometimes I even have bread. Like I might even have a couple slices of toast or something like that, because I find that's easy to digest. But it's something that's just going to give me the carbohydrates that I need, some fast digesting protein, and something that's not going to sit heavy on the stomach. And the cool thing about this is you can train your gut to for nutrition. Like in the past, I used to do a lot of fasted workouts, especially back in my bodybuilding days, because that was kind of like the norm. You do fasted cardio or you do fasted workouts to try and maximize fat burning, so to speak. But once I started getting more involved with endurance training, like cycling, and realizing that like when you're doing long duration exercise, like something that's beyond the 1 to 2 hour workout mark, but you're doing prolonged exercise where you need to not only eat before, but even during, you can actually train your stomach to process food while still remaining active. And that's something that a lot of endurance athletes have learned to do. But you got to start off small and build up to it gradually. So I'm in the situation now where I can have one of those quick, simple pre-workout meals and then like literally jump on the bike, minutes afterwards, and I'm good to go. Right? It's not going to be upsetting my stomach. Whereas in the past, if I had anything sitting in my stomach that quick, I'd probably be tossing my cookies. Like it'd upset the stomach more. But you can actually train your stomach to be able to digest and utilize that food more efficiently if that's something that you want to. And again, of course, this all depends on your specific activity of choice. So where I'm doing more endurance training these days, I've modified my nutritional approach to optimize that. But from a strength training and workout point of view, you don't need to overthink it, because like even with a workout that's going to last an hour or two, even if you did it in a fasted state, you still have enough glycogen in your system to get through an hour workout, right? Like if you got up in the morning, you had a cup of coffee, you could probably hit the gym and still have a good workout on an empty stomach, right? Most people could, because you got enough glycogen stored in your system to get through it. But if you're going to be doing a long workout, 2 or 3 or more hours, you're going to burn through that glycogen, and that's when you need to have some more energy in reserve, either pre or intra workout nutrition. So that's when that comes into play. I think that's pretty much it. So we're going to clue this one up now. I mean, I could actually hang around if there was a few other questions going through, but I know, Jeff, you got to clue it up because you got a gig coming up tonight. Where are you playing to tonight?
I'm playing in Lebanon, New Hampshire tonight, and I'm playing in Franklin, Vermont tomorrow. So I got a long weekend ahead of me.
Wow. So anybody in New Hampshire or Vermont, you want to go have an evening of entertainment, listen to the Conniption Fits? Just out of curiosity, is anybody in New Hampshire or in Vermont watching this chat right now?
I saw a couple questions from some friends of mine up here.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, Lisa's from New Hampshire.
Yeah. So who knows? You may get some people joining you.
Yes. Shameless plug. Come see the Conniption Fits.
Shameless plug. I don't think we're going to sell out the show here on our video chat today, but we'll throw it out there anyway. Why not?
Any little bit helps.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So again, thanks for joining in, Jeff. I always appreciate it when you can jump on, because it's nice to have that two-way conversation, and you always have some valuable insights to share.
Mhm.
So for those of you who are watching now, just give you a heads up, we're going to have the replay of this posted up afterwards, and I will get the timestamps along with all the questions that we covered, the timestamps posted there. So if you do want to review it afterwards, you can certainly do so. And all of our past video chats are up with the timestamps as well. So by all means, if you want to review some of the past video chats, you can do that. And if there's anything that you need more help with, like maybe there's a question that we cover here, you want to elaborate on it more, or if you have any questions about your own fitness and nutrition program, feel free to reach out. Myself and Jeff, we have our contact information in the description of this video. So feel free to message us or email us. Facebook's the best way to get in touch with me. I'm quite active over there. So you can just send me a message through Facebook, or you can send me an email. Same thing with Jeff. He also has an Instagram page where he shares a lot of fitness content and some workout videos. So make sure to follow him over on Instagram. And again, all the information is down in the description below, so you can check that out. All right. Well, we're going to get ready and clue it up, and we'll be back again next week. All right. Take care, everyone. Over and out. And show.